Again, we're having a very well-disciplined panel here. Everyone so far is 5 minutes. So we'll move on to Mr. Femi Falana.
Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I also joined other discussants in commending Jack Straw. I'll come to him in a moment because I'm also going to be critical of your presentation. But let me just say that I thank Governor Amechi for providing this opportunity and for promoting the cross-fertilization of ideas in this state. I do hope that your colleagues can emulate you so that we can discuss from time to time and promote good ideas about governance. Yes, I agree with, let me tell you this. When I was coming here, I told my wife last night, I was going to Port Harcourt. This is the first time in about 3 years that my wife had not said, be very careful that you are going to Port Harcourt. That means things are changing better for better. Yeah. And I remember in a few years back, over 10 years now, a colleague of mine came to Port Harcourt. He was arrested at the airport and sent back to Lagos. Never went with me. That means we are making some progress. Democracy is improving in our country, and particularly in Rivers State. And when talking about strong opposition, I think we have the best expression here. There is a strong opposition here, vis-a-vis the people in Abuja. And the governor has succeeded to the best of my knowledge because for the first time in about 14 years, issues of governance, good schools that can compare with those in Europe and America, good hospitals, good roads are being given to the people. Those who are fighting Amechi do not appreciate that there's a difference between having a government that promises to deliver but never delivers for 14 years and one that promises to deliver and has delivered in terms of good governance. I was just telling my colleagues when we were coming to the hall now, for some of us in some other parts of the country, you think you have some government. And we say in my area, when you have not seen somebody else's father's farm, you think your own father's farm is the biggest. And what I've seen here, of course I'm critical of Governor Amechi, he knows that. But because we also must harass him to perform the more. And I want to warn people of Rivers State, you must remain eternally vigilant because that is the price of liberty. And what you have just shown in recent time is that if we are committed to democracy, if we are consistent in demanding for our rights, we will chase our enemies out of town. And that is what has happened with that commissioner of police that took over the governance of this state when he has no right under the Constitution. Please keep it up. Yes, I agree with Mr. Straw that the most important aspect of the Nigerian Constitution is Chapter 2. Once you don't get it right, the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, that is the provision that says this state, the Nigerian state, must give education to the people, must give job to the people, unemployment benefits to the people, health to Nigerians, and then that the wealth of our country, the Commonwealth, shall not be concentrated in the hands of a few people. What Abuja is doing is a total reversal, a total repudiation of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. And we must not allow it. Final one, on corruption. Yes, I agree with Mr. Straw that Nigeria shamelessly ranks 144 in the index of corrupt nations. But sir, it takes two to tango. I have had this running battle with your government, even when you were foreign secretary. I have had this running battle with the British government and Western governments. Nigeria is not, and I'm very serious, Nigeria is not more corrupt than many Western countries. But in the ranking of Transparency International, it is only the victims of corruption, countries that are allowed by the West, whose ruling class is allowed by the West to loot their treasury and bring to the vaults of Western banks And I told the Prime Minister, I wrote to the British Prime Minister, when a governor was convicted in Nigeria, and the judge, in a very racist manner, descended on that former governor. Said, yes, good. But what of the financial institutions in Britain? What of your banks that were housed the loot of that governor? So I'm going to suggest, sir, so that we can stop Nigeria is corrupt, Nigeria is very bad. But how do we stop corruption? The West must help. Because the bulk of money stolen from here is taken to the West through capital flight. If you can block it there, final sentence. The United States last week released $458 million of the wealth stolen by Abacha. Abacha died in 1998. I'm going to demand of the Obama government to give us the interest because that money has been, let's say, in their bank. But the final one, I thank Mr. John Straw for his Jack Straw, for his wonderful paper. And as leaders, we must be honest. Because he also mentioned the fight against terrorism, which is very important. Britain and the US, we must also say this publicly, cause part of this problem of terrorism. Because the attack on Iraq, when you were foreign secretary, sir, was based on lie. The so-called weapons of mass destruction were not in Iraq. Today, Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, and those countries have become impossible. They can't talk of democracy in those countries. So when we are fighting terrorism, leaders must be honest, leaders must be accountable, and leaders must open up. Thank you very much.